Oh, hello there. I didn't see you come in. Today we'll be learning about some European history that we covered in the first semester class. We've got a special treat in store for you. Thanks to the wonders of time travel.
Time travel?
Yes, time travel. Don't ask questions. Thanks to the wonders of time travel, we sent correspondents Colton and Tyler to various points in European history, covering the Middle Ages, Renaissance, and French Revolution. To start off, let's see Colton in the Middle Ages.
The medieval era in Europe could be considered one of the most influential points in history. It marked the beginning of a transitional point in European history as people began to crawl out of the Dark Ages, so to speak. One of the most important events during the Middle Ages was the 100 Years' War. Caused by political disagreements, treaty violations, and primarily land disputes between the French and the English. The 100 Years' War was the most important conflict of the Middle Ages, with the English winning many battles early on, and the French rallied under Joan of Arc, a teenage peasant girl who joined the French army and eventually turned out victorious. The 100 Years' War resulted in many different changes, most notably the rise of the representative assembly in many countries, excluding France.
Now that we're inside, another major development during the Middle Ages was really the beginning of the end for the old Catholic Church. The Babylonian captivity, in which the Pope was pressured into moving from Rome to Avignon by Charles. Resident Roman Catholic Francisco is here to share his views on the subject.
Yeah, you see, when he moved away from Rome, it really seemed like a sellout, man. He's supposed to be a divine ruler, not taking orders from some earthly king. I think it really damaged the reputation of him and the reputation of the church as well.
Thanks, Ferdinand.
Yes, Francisco.
Okay, whatever, man. To make matters worse, the church underwent a massive schism, resulting in 3 different popes at the same time.
Of course, one can't talk about the Middle Ages without talking about social developments, especially with the Black Plague. There were many peasant revolts and nobility misbehavior, especially through fur-collar crime. All of this unrest directly correlates to the changing times and could be considered a direct result of the bubonic plague. Although it has many negative implications, the Black Death could be considered a good thing. Okay, fine. The Black Death was spread by rats on cargo ships and destroyed cities at a time. The deaths of the Europeans were so vast, even the economy was affected by the shortage of laborers. The plague killed about 1/3 of the European population. That is to say, if the population of Europe consisted of me, that stranger, and the cameraman, and 300 people, the cameraman and the stranger would die.
We seem to be having some troubles, so while we get those sorted out, let's go visit Tyler in the Renaissance.
The Renaissance was a time of intellectual awakening. In the wake of the Middle Ages, Europeans looked to enjoy the finer things in life. Beginning in the 14th century, they began a pursuit of knowledge embodied by an idea known as humanism. Developed by Petrarch and supported by Erasmus, humanists re-embraced the Greco-Roman culture, learning Latin, reviving its political thought, and doing many similar things. We actually have a great humanist and author, Niccolo Machiavelli, here to talk to us about his most famous work, The Prince.
Yes, The Prince is a work of mine outlining the key attributes of a humanist ruler. I understand that many kings and leaders in Europe use it as a guide today.
Right you are, Nick.
Don't call me that.
Oh, okay, sorry. Humanism, whether regular or Christian, was a keystone of the Renaissance. Now, this period of time split into 2 phases, the Italian Renaissance and the Northern Renaissance. The Italian Renaissance saw an emphasis on new artistic styles, with painters such as Da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Raphael at the helm. The Northern Renaissance was more geared towards tapestries and furniture, and was more religiously oriented than the Italian Renaissance. Also, some of the greatest pieces of art ever created were made in this time period. Much of Renaissance art was religiously themed.
My masterpiece.
Politics and social order continued to change during the Renaissance. A sense of nationality began to spread, and religious persecution was extremely prevalent. The Spanish Inquisition located and exiled / killed many Jews and other non-Christians as a result of the new Christian movement. People who did not come from Christian origins could not become Christians and were deemed undesirable. The problems with religion, however, would only grow from here. The Renaissance period also saw the invention of the printing press by Johannes Gutenberg, as seen here. This drastically sped up the flow of ideas in the Renaissance and sparked an increase in literacy.
I think I've done it. Yes, it worked.
Thanks, Tyler, for that delightful insight into the Renaissance period. Before we move on to the French Revolution, I'd like to give some details about what happened in between. After the Renaissance, religious conflict came to a head. Unhappy with the ways of the Church, reformers like Martin Luther, John Calvin, and Ulrich Zwingli staged the Protestant Reformation, in which different Christian religions were formed. Ready? This time period also saw the rise of the Habsburgs and the Catholic Reformation of the Council of Trent. Religious wars were fought about the Reformations, most notably in France. Imperialism spread throughout Europe as well, with the discovery of Americas and subsequent colonizations. This triggered the beginnings of absolutism, in which a king was the undisputed ruler of a country. After absolutism took hold, though, it began to slip through many wars and revolutions, but more on that later. The scientific revolution, the Enlightenment, saw a revival of intellectual thought, and served as the basis for modern science and technology. With the Enlightenment fueling revolutionary thought, the lure of absolutism seemed less attractive. The American Revolution set an example, and France was ready to follow. Let's see what Colton and Tyler have to say about that.
16th and Marie Antoinette were not popular monarchs. The French economy was in shambles. The social ladder was full of resentment. A prime opportunity for revolution.
After funding the wars of the past and helping the American cause, the French government was broke. In order to increase government funds, Louis set out to tax the nobility. He assembled the Estates General, comprised of the First, Second, and Third Estates, in order to come to a decision on funding the government. The Third Estate, or the peasants, formed the National Assembly.
Tensions continued to rise as the Bastille in Paris was overtaken by rioters. The National Assembly drafted the Declaration of Rights of Man and formed a constitutional monarchy. The king was later ousted, forming a legislative assembly, and executed, convicted of treason. Now that France was a republic, the National Convention took control under the leadership of Robespierre and his Committee of Public Safety.
Robespierre and the Committee of Public Safety changed nearly every facet of French life under the motto liberty, equality, and fraternity, including chess pieces, bread types, the calendar religion, and playing cards to get rid of any remnants of the monarchy. He began to grow weary of conspiracies against the revolution and as a result executed any naysayers. During the Reign of Terror, Robespierre sent anyone who he perceived as a threat to the guillotine.
Robespierre would get too greedy, though, and some of the men he would threaten lashed out, capturing him and sending him to the National Razor.
Have ye no faith in your brother revolutionaries?
What? I do? I don't know what you're talking about. Sir, I think you have the wrong person. Sir, no!
The fall of Robespierre is a direct result of the Thermidorian reaction, which gave rise to the Directory, which was overthrown by Napoleon Bonaparte, closing off a turbulent time in history and a turbulent semester. See you next time. Where's Colton?
I thought he was with you.
What do you mean he thought it was with me? What's he supposed to do?
Oh, well.
No, sir. I love the revolution. You see, liberty, equality, fraternity.
That's it.
I have friends in high places. I die innocent of all the crimes laid to my charge. I pardon those who have occasioned my death, and I pray to God that the blood you are going to shed may never be visited on France.
Yeah.
Sure he's fine.
Yeah. It's Colton, he'll be okay.